Hi everyone, my name is Ierie, and this is Reminisce with This, where I take a little time out of my day to sit and reminisce with you on simpler times from all of the different hobbies, interests, and collections I have obtained over the many years that I have been collecting. But it's not always about the physical form of the things that I have collected that are meaningful. It's the memories I've made along the way that really have made an impact and why I still continue to collect today. I am so happy to be able to dive back in and reminisce on so many wonderful memories from all of my different avenues of life. And quite frankly, it has been super enjoyable to have a different mindset on a lot of different times that I may have neglected over the years. I really do love the different themes of each day. It is something that I can reflect on, and while doing so, it's something that I get to really get into a lot of my different collections all over again and, kind of have a playful imagination with them as I set them up and pose them and things like that. It's something that I really do enjoy, and I suggest that you go ahead and stay to the end of the video because I did find a couple of my original first collection figures and what got me into collecting Marvel figures today and how they have come so far and so vast. With that, of course, it is Shiny New Things Saturday, and I have been waiting patiently for this specific figure since it was talked about being released. Now, I did already open it up off camera because I figured it would kind of help save some time, and it wasn't as noisy on the camera. I have, and probably will at some point, will learn how to edit it, the videos and so forth, where I can, open the videos, open the figures on video and stuff like that, like within panels or something along those lines. But for now, I figured, why not get into it? This is going to be the brand new Betsy Braddock Psylocke as the Outback costume, which I figured I could do what everybody else is doing, where, they are showing the teams of that specific comic run of the Outback, which of course, if not mistaken, that's not one I really ever dived into per se. There was some here and there that I kind of took, glimpses of, but that's when they were, if I'm not mistaken, in Australia, and it was a team that consisted of, if I'm not mistaken, Dazzler, Longshot, of course, Psylocke, but Storm and Wolverine and Rogue, and I think Colossus. I think that might be all of them, but I could be wrong. I do have just about all of those figures. The only one I really don't have, of course, is Colossus, as he is a harder figure to obtain, but it is what it is. So I thought I'd dive back into all of the different Psylocks and which time period I got them in. But for starters, let's go ahead and get into the slight review of the Betsy Braddock's Outback version of Psylocke. Of course, my only gripe so far of this figure is that the cape is really heavy. So that means the figure itself depends on the cape to stand up because the female body doesn't have, I guess in a way, the mass to hold up this heavy cape. And so of course that's a little bit of a bummer. The other gripe that I have is that I actually got one that is scuffed on both sides of the cape, the hood here, which of course that's a bummer as a new figure being opened, but that definitely could also be for the fact of the heat that where I live, it's been super hot, so it waiting out outside for even just maybe 30 minutes to an hour definitely could have played a part in that factor. So I'll try my best not to blame the Hasbro by any means. I'll just take it as that's what the circumstance was. But overall, I think it's a really awesome figure. I love the colors. I definitely love that hot pink with that purple. It might be a little bit more closer to like a magenta hot pink, if you will. That's what it kind of gives me. It's not like a super in-your-face hot pink, but still similar to that in between of a hot pink and magenta, which I really love it. Of course, the the butterfly psionic piecing here, it is removable, but I put it on there because I plan on not removing it. But it's the same one that I saw on this figure here, which of course is going to be the one from the Thanos and of course Psylocke 2-pack, which is of course from the video game from back in the day. But overall, I think it's a pretty stellar figure. It does have some hindering of the articulation simply because of the cape itself and the shoulder. You have this shoulder, I can't think of the word right now, my golly, but the shoulder pads, there we go, they kind of hinder that. When you move the arm around, it kind of, as you could see, it kind of makes it hinder here. So of course she can go in a full circle there. She does have those double jointed elbows, which is awesome. She does have, of course, on the figure as it comes in is the double fists. Now she does have the same hands that most of the female figures have, of course. So it would be kind of cool to see something different, but they do have those standard female hand pieces, the same ones we saw with that Jean Grey from the X-Men 97 2-pack. So they're very the same a lot of the times. I wish they would have a couple different iterations of female hands that can kind of be a little bit more of a dynamic kind of posing, or at least give us, a few different sets. Now the leg does kick about that far back, and then of course it does have the double jointed knees there. She does also have, of course, the ankle tilt here, so that helps with the the posing a little bit, but not much. She is on a ball joint rather than a hinge, so that, I guess that's like okay. It makes, thankfully she doesn't have a lot of long hair in the back. It's a shorter bob, but of course the hood itself does hinder her from looking too far up, but that's pretty much as far as she'll go looking up wise, which, as you can see, it's not like a whole lot. She does look that much down, and of course because she is on that ball joint, she does go side to side. And of course the hands, they're on a hinge, so they go up and down rather than side to side, which that's kind of something that I wish I could have, is some more side to side motions, and or a little bit more power effects, something for a telepath, or with hers she normally has the side blades and stuff like that. I would like to see some new different types of effects, kind of like what we saw with the Thanos 2-pack. So that would be stellar. So of course that's pretty much it for the review itself. I really do like the figure. I really do enjoy having this in hand. Now, of course, the only problem that I'm going to have in the future is, of course, the standing. As you can see, she's already wanting to kind of just lean back, as that cape is quite heavy. I had tried to pose it before the video to kind of see if I could get her in that posing without having to use the cape, and unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of opportunity to do so. So, there is that. I did also want to run through some of the Psylocke figures that I have, I had to go diving into a big toy bin that I have of like retired toys and things like that, where I found my very first Psylocke figure from Toy Biz. Now, as you could see, that face sculpt was not the best by any means. It kind of looks a little outdated compared to a lot of the figures now. So of course this was that first one that I ever had. I want to say I got this back in like 2014, 2015, maybe sooner. That's just kind of the time period that I started really diving into finding all kinds of figures and collections and buying things in bulk on eBay and things like that, as people were transitioning to the newer Marvel Legends from the Toy Biz, where I was still happy to find some of these figures, as the only other one at that time, I want to say, was the San Diego Comic-Con X-Force Psylocke, which that was going for a lot of money, so I was happy to have this one, and this played a huge part for my collection up until I was able to get the Apocalypse Wave Psylocke, which of course, you know, that would be this one here. Now over time her joints have come to a like, they've been kind of flimsy as I've had it for such a long time. As you can see, her face sculpt had gotten better from that Toys Biz type of days. She did have effects pieces, because I don't recall the one that I got from Toy Biz having effects pieces. But of course, this one was a staple for once I was able to get a Psylocke. I went on a hunt to find this, and coincidentally, I did end up having a second one. And because I was having a little bit of hard time finding that Jubilee figure around this time, I ended up trading that Psylocke for the Jubilee, which also, I did not know that there was two variants, and I actually had the black hair Psylocke for when I traded that for that Jubilee figure, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, I was just happy to have that Jubilee. As I stated from my last video, was more so my favorite X-Men. So that was something I was happy to trade, and I didn't care about the overall value of the figures. I just really wanted to have that Jubilee for my collection. The next one I was able to grab, if I'm not mistaken with this one, I forget what 3-pack she came in. It was a 2-pack or a 3-pack, but of course it was the X-Force Psylocke. I want to say she came with Phantom X, and I'm trying to think of what other figure. I'm kind of blanking on that currently, but her face sculpt did get a little better from that Apocalypse Wave head sculpt, but pretty close to the original of that. So it wasn't too much of a change. These both did have the standard single jointed elbows. They were not double jointed at the time, but I did like how this figure compared to the first one. As you see, the first one is just that plain pink, where this one has some more different hues to make it really stand out. And same with the side blade here, they had more of those hues of different pinks and stuff like that, and same with her power effect there. So there was a little bit more of those differences, where her sash also is shorter than the sash on the Apocalypse Wave figure. Now, the thing that I really do disdain quite a bit is the fact that these butterfly effects for her like psionic powers, they fall off quite often, and so that's quite frustrating. And of course, the next Psylocke I was able to obtain was this one here. I forget the team. I'm kind of spacing on the teams right now, though I do have the full team. This was part of a 3-pack as well. I can't remember if it was the Jubilee she came with and the Gambit, or who all she came with. I'm spacing on it, But of course, this Psylocke was super awesome. As you can see, the sculpts of the face and the painting, they started getting better and better over time. This wasn't by any means perfect, but it was definitely getting there. The hair sculpt was a little lackluster, honestly. It kind of looks like her hair had thinned out quite a bit from the first two iterations of Psylocke. Now, she does have on this one a little bit more of that purple toning for the her side blade and her power effect compared to the first one, which was more of a hot pink, where the second one was more of a pink with some like magenta tones, where that one just went straight into purple. And of course, last but not least, is that Psylocke from the Thanos, it's Marvel vs. Capcom 2-pack. And I love this figure. I think this, from her first iteration that I got from the Toy Biz, through all of the other figures to this particular figure, I absolutely love this figure. Now, I wish it had a sash, but of course that wasn't how the game had it, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I played the game, but honestly, that's where we saw the new iteration of the butterfly effect. We did see some of these new power effects as well, which have been so awesome as part of something new for female figures and power effects, as I feel like over the years they've replayed them over and over again. She does have those double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. Her articulation is spot on. It's very, like, honestly one of the best upgrades that I've had over the years for the Psylocke figure, compared to a lot of the other upgrades that I have for a lot of my other figures. I'm excited to get some of the other Marvel vs. Capcom figures that will be coming out, or if I'm not mistaken, it's Marvel vs. Capcom. I could be wrong on that. It's been quite some time that I've played, but it's great that I was able to get this figure. I went on a hunt for quite some time to try and locate it, and I do have a second one in pack, as I really just love the aesthetic from the packaging, and I plan on hopefully keeping that one in package, where I normally don't actually keep a lot of my figures in packaging. I do like to have a lot of them out, but if I find need to have another Psylocke and another team or something like that, I might just open that one up just for that purpose. But pretty much that is the figures here. Those are the journeys through all of them. But what I wanted to share is, if you remember from my first comic book story about the comic book store that I went to and the figures that were given to me and how it started my journey, I did actually find two of those first figures. I was looking for that Toy Biz Psylocke, and while doing so, because they were in a broken toy little container, I was able to find two of those first figures that were given to me, and I wanted to share, as this was that Jean Grey figure. If I'm not mistaken, she was in like a goo kind of a thing. It's from when Toad got goo on her face. As you can see, she is missing her leg here. She is missing that effect piece, but that is from the X-Men first movie, Jean Grey. I did have that Cyclops at one point, but of course that definitely, it was not in my broken toy container, but I thought that was super awesome. And secondly, of course, was my first Gambit. Now, Gambit has lost his head. I also would say he lost the tips of his feet. This Gambit and I played countless different journeys of imagination and battles and things like that, where I really am happy to have had so many great times with these figures. Though I will say that it's probably time to retire them. I was thinking about a lot of the toys that I have as I was looking through that broken toy bin, is that there's a lot of broken ones where I might go and, put them all in a box and maybe bury them somewhere and kind of, say goodbye to those, but I don't want to necessarily throw them away because they do hold a lot of memories for me. So I figured maybe laying them to rest in some capacity would be honoring them for all of the amazing times that they gave me growing up as a kid. And this gambit will be replaced at some point with a older version of, but yet a newer version of this figure, as I really do love this gambit. This is one of my favorite gambit figures. It will always hold a special place in my collection or in my everyday life, just from all of the different journeys that I have had along the way with it. I did find some of my other Toy Biz figures that I did replace with some of the others that I had growing up as a kid that may have broken or whatever may it be. As I don't have a lot of those older broken figures, there was quite the amount of times that I purged figures right and left as I broke them and could not fix them any further. But Gambit is one that I literally tried time and time again to fix and keep together because I was so saddened that the figure that really started it all, along with my Jean Grey, had broken. And so that's how I got to where I'm at today. That's how and why I still collect, is because of the memories made with these figures, and also the amazing people that helped me along the way with this. And if it wasn't for those amazing people at that comic book store handing me these figures and really starting that off for me, I don't think I would be where I'm at today and having the joy and pleasure of collecting these figures today. And I'll never forget those amazing people, because that comic book store really did have an impact on my young childhood, and being able to be there as often as I was. Like I stated in that first comic video, I know I probably bugged the hell out of them, and I know that they really just were so patient and kind to me, and to still be able to reflect on the figures that were given to me from them really is something that I cannot be in more gratitude for. And that's why I feel like honoring my broken figures that I have now in the best way would probably put them all together, put them in a box, and maybe going out somewhere completely off out of maybe one of my favorite places or something like that, and laying them to rest by burying them kind of like a time capsule, and maybe leaving a note for, or something like that, in that regard, because I think it would be a lot of fun. But with that being said, I really thank you for staying and talking with me today and reminiscing on simpler times and all of the different figures that I have had of Psylocke over the years, from the start to where I'm at now with this Outback Psylocke. I really do appreciate you guys, and I just want to, of course, end with saying, if you haven't been told you are loved, cared about, or cherished today, just know that I love you, I cherish you, and I care about you. And I really hope you have such a wonderful day, and may the day bring you the amount of joy that I get to bring to myself and to, I feel, hopefully you guys, as I sit here each day. So thank you, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.